To see the respect and admiration people have for Dad. And so we're very grateful to everyone, and sort of want to thank everyone for their well wishes, and just for the esteem they have for Dad. It's lovely.
The crying shame of it all, of course, is that for so many years he's been there suffering with ailments that he's had and not being able really to enjoy the life that he really thrived on through the years of travelling and getting out and entertaining people. And I wonder, could you give us a word picture of what those last years for your dad were like?
Oh, well, they haven't been the best years, that's for sure. You know, since he took ill in 95, and it was really from about 98 that he sort of really retired from public view, you could say, just to take things easy at home. And of course his illness progressed over the years, and the last few years haven't been very comfortable for him, but we take comfort in the fact that he still loved listening to music, and that was sort of one of the things we could do for him, was to always be playing some music for him. And when we'd visit, we'd go and sing and play some guitar, and we could tell he enjoyed that. We could just sort of tell the reaction to it, and we could tell he did love that. Of course, music being such a big part of his life, and he just loved it.
Was there anything in particular that he liked listening to?
Well, just all the music, of course he liked, a lot of different country singers himself. So we just used to play mainly CDs from his collection at home. He had a very large collection of CDs and music, so we just play him a variety, and so I know he enjoyed that.
I just noticed when I was doing some prep for this that on the album Reason to Rise, you're a part of a special dedication of that song.
Oh, yes. Dad was actually a very deep man emotionally, and I've been through a very hard time in my family, and so he dedicated that song to us. It had a good message to it. Dad always tried to look at something positive, that there was always something positive in the future, and to try and look at good side of things and to look ahead, and not sort of get into things, just to keep strong, and that's what he did too. He kept strong all those years, and that's one of the biggest things that I remember about Dad now, that his great strength in being ill for so long, and never complained once. Pretty amazing.
Here's what you do when you give it your all, and there's nowhere to run, and you're too weak to grow, with a pain in your heart, tears in your eyes. You just find you a reason to rise. Find you the reason to rise. Find you the reason to rise.
Reasons to Rise, the title track of the Lindsay album, dedicated to Dianne and her family. And Dianne Lindsay is with us, and I bet he was pleased as punch to see you happy and married and getting out and singing and taking the music on the road.
Yeah, I know, but he's pretty proud of that, and we've always interested to go and visit and tell him where we'd been and what we'd done, and of course I always had some messages to bring back to him from people, as I said, asking about how he was and giving me well wishes for him, and just to say hello. And people say to me, look, he probably won't remember me, but I saw him at blah blah and whatever town, and so I go back and relay all of that. So I know he could have thought about that, and it was really nice.
Over the last couple of days, you and Roz and the rest of the family have been planning a farewell for Reg. Tell us about the funeral arrangements.
Oh, right, yep, it's taken a bit of organising, but we're just about there. Yes, we're going to have the funeral next Monday at 11 o'clock at Cessnock, at St John's Anglican Church there, and just trying to plan, just a lovely ceremony.
Well, it's very nice of you to give us some time, and I know that that there are a whole lot of us out here who are feeling for you and the family at this time.
Thank you, Nick, and I'd just like to, on behalf of my family, my sisters and children and Rod, like to thank all of us, their well wishes, and to everyone, and we know that Dad won't be forgotten with his great music, so we look forward to hearing a bit more of it.
All right, I look forward to seeing you on Monday.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, Dianne
Bye-bye.
Lindsay with us on CMR. Over the years, Reg Lindsay certainly did some things and has received a number of accolades for his wonderful work. He won the very first Male Vocalist of the Year Golden Guitar at the Tamworth Awards in 1974, and then went on to win 2 more Male Vocalist Golden Guitars during the 1970s. He was inducted into Tamworth's Hands of Fame in 1977, and then to the biggest honour we give out in country music, the Roll of Renown, Reg was placed on the Rocks in 1984. In 1989, Reg received the Order of Australia Medal for his services to country music and the entertainment industry. As we mark his passing, let's look back on the music of Reg Lindsay. Reg Lindsay's recording career began in 1951 after he won the first of a series of prestigious talent searches run by Tim McNamara on radio station 2SM. Reg's first recording was a version of the Blue Velvet Band. His second release was a song he wrote for My Home Way Out Back.
My home is in the sunny north, out on a cattle run. I've never longed for city lights or where high-tone fun. With nature's beauties all around, what more could fortune bring? Each day with happy yodeling, I make the reindeers ring.
After 24 releases from the Rodeo label, Reg moved to EMI in 1958. His first release there was another of his own songs, The Wayward.
By fireside bright and cheerful, when the sun has gone to rest, as the night birds start their calling, round our old home in the west, where the old folks sit there waiting for the wayward gone astray. And I know just how they've suffered in the time I've been away.
There were 27 single releases for Columbia and 7 albums. And throughout this time, several of Reg's hits featured his wife, Eva McKee.
I still see my daddy sitting on the wagon seat, mother in her old-time bonnet, she looks so nice and neat. All in the wagon, Grandma and Grandpa too. Well, we used to go to church on Sunday when the wagon was new.
During the 1950s, Reg Lindsay was well known for his radio programs on Sydney radio stations 2CH and then 2SM. He moved to television in 1964. The Reg Lindsay Country Hour came out of Adelaide and then moved to Brisbane as the Reg Lindsay Country Homestead. Reg was on television for 12 years.
There'll be lots of little children, and how big their eyes will be when they see what Santa left beneath the tree. Well, they'll be merry, singing those merry Christmas carols by the old river.
There you are. It's a fantastic time, Christmas time, and we've had a fantastic night here at the old homestead, and all our friends around us, our square dancers, and all our wonderful guests, including Don King from Nashville, Ian Turpin, Miss Camper Laurel over there. But we've had a marvellous time, and thank you everyone for visiting with us.
A Christmas special of the Reg Lindsay Country Homestead from Brisbane. Up until 1969, Reg Lindsay had not had a standout classic hit, but that all changed when he recorded a song about man's first walk on the moon. Written by John Stewart, later the Kingston Trio, Armstrong first appeared on an album called Hot Shot Country. Reg and his new record label, Festival Records, sensed that this song had something, so strings were added, and it was released as a single in 1970. And that year went on to become Reg's career song.
And I wonder if a long time ago, somewhere in the universe, What's the man named Adam walking on the
During the 1970s, Reg Lindsay's recording style changed somewhat thanks to recording in America. He did several albums with expatriate record producer Bill Walker.
So give me liberty, or give me love. She's the rock that I lean on. She's the sunshine of my day, and she dreams she's the queen of the starlight ballroom. Dancing every dance with a different man.
By the mid-70s, Reg was splitting his time between Australia and America, but was still doing some recording here. The American tracks were not eligible for Golden Guitar nomination, but with tracks recorded here for Festival, EMI and the Brook label, Reg won Golden Guitars for Male Vocalist of the Year in 1974, 1978 and in 1980.
July, you're a woman, more than any woman I've ever known. Well, there's silence on the line, and now I hear her saying, babe, I only need a man for the things a man is good for. I'm at the Amphion Hotel, in a lover's prison cell, above brook and hard beyond life.
The three outstanding hits that won Reg Lindsay his three Male Vocalist Golden Guitars during the 1970s.
The rodeo is the only road I know.
Throughout his career, Reg Lindsay had a very strong association with the sport of rodeoing. In fact, the All-Pro Rodeo Riders Association presented Reg with a one-off gold and silver trophy buckle inscribed Australian Pro Rodeo's favourite entertainer. It was always amongst his most cherished awards. By the mid-1980s, Reg and Heather Lindsay were based in America, almost full-time. But unfortunately, their marriage of over 30 years was nearing its end. With the marriage breakup, Reg got homesick and moved back to Australia. It was while pursuing his love of rodeoing that Reg fell in love with Roz. And after they married, she became an integral part of the Reg Lindsay story, driving the resurgence of his career in Australia into the 1990s. When Reg's final album, No Slowing Down, was released in October of 1994, they embarked on a very heavy touring schedule, which was still going strong when Reg suffered that brain hemorrhage at the Tamworth Festival in 1995, which ended his performing career.
Going down in my soul. No time to put these boots up and this here rodeo. Long as I get up each day, grab my old guitar and play. As long as there's another town, there'll be no slowing down. As long as there's another town, there'll be no slowing down.
Over all the years of his illness, Reg Lindsay's wife, Roz, has been keeping in touch with the fans. She's been re-releasing Reg Lindsay albums, and over the past 12 months has been working on a very big project to put together a 4-CD box set highlighting Reg's outstanding career. Well, at the time of his death, the album was ready to go, scheduled for release. It's called No Dress Rehearsal, and now serves as a wonderful reminder of the music Reg Lindsay gave us. Ahead of the big album, Roz had released in 2007 a 2-CD set of some of Reg's best work since 1970. And at that time, we talked, and Roz told me how amazed she is that so many people have stayed loyal to Reg Lindsay over the years.
That's for sure, Nick. The fans and everybody in the industry has been so wonderful, and for somebody that's done so much for the industry and be appreciated the way he has been, it's just tremendous to see. And I'm sure that all the folks out there realise sort of how Reg has battled the last probably 12 years with this illness, and it's sad to see how things happen, but none of us knows what's in store either, Nick. So you've really basically got to follow the bouncing ball and do everything you can in life when you can do it.
Reg Lindsay never made a bad record. He had that innate ability to go into the studio, even when he wasn't producing, and turn out a really, really good track every time.
He certainly did. He was very professional with his attitude in the music industry and how he delivered everything, and it shines through in all of his products. It's just wonderful, a gift that he had, I suppose, with the way he used to perform live and with his recordings. And he's just very, very gifted, and it shines through in all of his tracks. You're right there.
When you talk with people these days, and you still get around a fair bit, we see you from time to time, and you've got that Reg Lindsay get-together at Cessnock each year, which brings a lot of his fans together to remember Reg and enjoy the music of the day with the rodeo there. What is it that people generally talk about with Reg? Is there one particular time that they remember best in his career?
Well, there's a lot of people that really, really did enjoy the country homestead days, and the people that talk about that every time that you sort of run into different ones that have travelled down the road and been associated or involved with Reg's career way back then. That's the thing that jumps out at you. They also wish we could have something like that on DVD and bring that back. And said it was great days with all the music and the people he had involved on those shows. But that's probably the main thing. But then there's the different ones that say they saw him at the town hall and touring on the road, and he just pop up anywhere and everywhere. And there's so many fans out there that you've all got a story to tell about how they met Reg and what they liked about it.
Reg Lindsay's wife, Roz, talking to me in 2007. On this special tribute to mark the passing of Reg Lindsay on Tuesday, the 5th of August 2008, we'll take a break. Come back and hear Reg Lindsay himself. The quite fascinating interview I did with him back in 1993. A tribute to the late Reg Lindsay continues with his eldest daughter, Dianne, and a song she wrote for her first album about her dad's old guitar case.
As the morning sunlight struggles through the dusty window pane, warming up the room as I reminisce again, near a pile of old black records and pictures that we had, I see that old brown guitar case with my dad. The hinges are all rusty and the velvet lining's worn, fading names on stickers of the places that it's gone, like the Grand Ole Opry and the Country Hall of Fame, and the poster on the side bears Reg Lindsay's name.
Came together fairly quickly, but not very easy to write. I've had to stop quite a few times, and my eyes were quite red by the time I finished that song. But captured a lot of emotions, and that's how the guitar case is. It's such a rich history. You know, it just looks the part. It has all the stickers and tags on it, all the airlines, the tags on the handles, and it's held together by a bit of tape, and it's all faded on the inside, so it's a piece of history, that one. Very special to us.
Dianne Lindsay, the oldest of the three girls born to Reg Lindsay and Heather McKean. Even though they toured extensively, the Lindsay story is somewhat different. The Lindsay story is somewhat different to the Dusty story. And the three Lindsay girls, Dianne, Sandra and Joanne, grew up in Sydney, where their parents had their base while doing their television shows during the 60s and 70s. But Dianne has fond memories of her early days.
Well, Mum and Dad, they were touring full-time till I was about almost 7. And they came off the road then, just mostly so that I could have a stable home base. They didn't really want us to be separated. So they based themselves in Sydney, and then they went out doing shows, sort of shorter tours, say a few weeks at a time. And a few times we were able to go out with them, but myself and my sisters, we sort of stayed at the home base and went to school. And then later on, I did a few tours with Mum and Dad, and of course then later I married and had some children, and as I was saying, stayed close to home. So yeah, I've been out and about, and but now I'm sort of travelling, doing a lot of miles now.
So you've got to the point where the kids can look after themselves, and it's time for your turn to have some fun.
Exactly. Yeah, they're sort of all growing up now, and I've sort of time on my hands. I'm able to get out. So that's what I'm doing.
These comments from Dianne Lindsay were made in the middle of 2007, not long after the release of a double CD of her dad's recordings from Armstrong in 1970. He had a great body of work, didn't he, musically?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. He certainly did. You know, he had such a wonderful voice, Dad. You know, he could really sing anything. And now, you know, I sort of sit back and listen to some of them, and I think, wow, what a voice.
Well, I just got back from a long tour, been traveling away out west. I've been through most everything. I think I need a little rest. We've had trouble by the score. Feels like a devil's knocking at my door. But we've been down this road before. I'm gonna sleep for a year or more.
Lindsay was far too restless to settle down for more than a week in most cases. He just loved being out on the road, entertaining. That's why I thought I'd end this tribute to Reg with an interview I did with him in 1993 for the album called Reasons to Rise. He was really happy, doing things he wanted to do, and it showed in this chat. G'day, Reg. Lovely to catch up with you.
To catch up with you, Nick. Anyway, these days we're not hard to catch up with them. You know, the mobile phone runs hot while we're out on tour, and it's a good thing for country music people to be able to keep in contact like that these days, isn't it? I was having lunch yesterday, and people were calling me in the restaurant. You know, it's a bit presumptuous, this monstrous car phone that I've got, but it's the most powerful one I could get. And, you know, people think it's presumptuous when you've got bipping going on in a restaurant, but it's the only way people can keep in touch with us, that we're on the road so much. And, of course, as Cole Joy said to me, it doesn't matter where you live. He said, you can live out in the bush now, and I've always wanted to. He said, as long as you got your fax, your phone, your answering machine, and your mobile phone, he said, you got it all.
But it really has changed things, hasn't it? If you think back to even the days when you were flittering backwards and forwards to Adelaide to do the television show,
right.
I mean, out of touch with people for 4 or 5 hours, it must have been terribly frustrating at times.
Well, it's very frustrating. The most frustrating thing was when we lived on the road for almost 6 years. You know, we did 320 towns a year, and my advance man was booked to call me, and the only place that he could call me was at the local post office. Sometimes that might be in Boulia, it might be in Longreach, it might be anywhere, and there's people waiting to use the phone, and it rings, and you'd have to say, excuse me, that call's for me. That's the only way we could keep in touch with our advance man. While other people were having dinner or something, I'd have to be down there waiting at the phone box, you know, hoping to call on time. And then we'd discuss our business, and the same thing the next night. Sometimes we'd get held up, wouldn't make it by 6, you know, and he'd have to wait and keep ringing back, and vice versa. Or he might make it to the post office. But and if you had to do business by phone, which we did, like when I was partners with Frank Foster, you know, we'd have to do business by public phone. We'd have to go to the bank and just about rob it for 20-cent pieces. You know, you'd have a bag about a foot high of 20-cent pieces, and you had to keep feeding them in. And it's not before time that the communication system has come of age to help the country music artists.
I wonder, though, if all of this change and the comfort of driving and the fact that you can get in a vehicle and drive comfortably for 4 or 5 hours now, and the way that you know, clubs and venues are and the way business is done these days, I wonder if that's not a contributing factor to the fact that you keep as busy as you do, because if it kept on being as grueling as it was, I wonder if you would have given up by now.
Well, I don't know. I've got to tell you, we did 6,000 kilometres last week. We're up at 5 on Friday. We did the show at Singleton Agricultural Show. We left there at 8. We phoned Hay and Forbes to see if the floods would allow us through, and they said yes. And there wasn't much petrol on some of the line, and we had to get down to 60 mile an hour to, there was a place Wyalong was supposed to be open, it wasn't, so we had to get down to 60 kilometres, and it took us 20 hours overnight and through the day to get to Adelaide. Then we had to get ready for the show, do the show, and get to bed at 2:30 a.m., and then we drove overnight to Geelong, then we did television in Melbourne, then we drove around about 10 hours to get to Gippsland, showed there, left at midnight, and drove to Goulburn Country Festival. That took 10 or 11 hours overnight. And then as soon as the festival was finished, we drove home up to the Hunter Valley, got home at 12:30 a.m., up at 5, and I was in the office here at Larrigan Records at 8:30 back in Sydney. So for some reason or other, it is just as grueling with the amount of miles or kilometres we're doing, Nick, and it's a good thing because we're busy and it's keeping us in the business that we enjoy. So people are saying to us, why are you doing so many miles? I say, well, that's where the shows are. We take them, we go to them.
This is album number 68 for you, and obviously there's a great deal of excitement about this one.
Well, there is, mainly because apart from the fact I've produced it myself, I've produced other albums for myself, other people here in Australia and some people in Nashville, but this one started out 100% Reg Lindsay songs, or Reg Lindsay and co-writers, and I've always wanted to do that, but, years ago, one particular record company, or A&R manager, said to me, oh, you want to put your own composition on the B side of the record to get the royalties, and that sort of floored me a little bit, and so I didn't push my own songs as much as I'd wanted to, but by the same token, I have recorded about 100 or so of my own songs on record. But then John Stewart sent me out a couple of really, really good songs, and Ros and I listened to them. She said, I think it might be an idea if you put these on, because, he's always written songs that you can do, July, You're a Woman, and Armstrong, so he sent me It Ain't the Gold That Keeps You on the Highway When You're Old. It ain't the gold that keeps you on the highway in the cold. And I said, that's me. I said, I do it for the love of it. Okay, money's there, but that's secondary. And if you're in an artistic field, as we are, money has to be secondary. So we put those two on and a couple of other songs, but it made 11, that actually came from us.
All right, now this album is now out and going, and you're getting a lot of profile with it.
Yep.
So I guess it's time that we ask those reflective questions. You've gone 40 years in the business. You're past 60 and all those sort of landmark things that...
Nick, I stayed at 59.
Okay, well, you're coming up to 60, and all those landmark things happening. In that reflective sense, are you happy with your life? Are you happy with the way things have gone for you and how you're sitting now?
Well, I couldn't be happier. I guess I'm the happiest I've been in my life because I don't worry about things that are not worth worrying about, Nick. I've changed in a lot of ways, and of course, as we get older, if we don't learn and act on what we learn, we're rather silly. And, they say some people get up in the morning and say, good God morning. Other people say, good morning, God. And, it's your attitude. And I'm not striving for a lot of things. If a television show came up and I could package it, and I was asked to package it, I'd be the happiest man in the land. If I never get back on television, it's not going to worry me one jot. Like when I met Rosalind, I was actually going back to front a television show in Austin, in Texas, and that was beginning in February, and I came back in November for Christmas and to MC the Rodeo Awards, met Rosalind, and eventually we got engaged and married 5 or 6 years ago, so I didn't go back to do the television show, but that doesn't worry me one jot. Those are the things that you just take a different path. You can't have everything in life, and if you're happy with what you got, well, you got everything, and I'm happy with what I got.
Well, you may think how lots seems bad, but don't you fret about it.
Gentlemen, before we go too far, would you care to
That
station
old
over your 6
town
and take
hall,
it a bit?
we're gonna raise the dust. That applause doesn't last.
Country music is an international brotherhood, Reg. You were very close to the late Tex Ritter and his wife Dorothy, I know. But your great mentor is a man you corresponded with for 15 years before you finally met him. And here he is on film, the legendary Hank Snow.
And when I did the tour of Australia a few years ago, it was a delight to have you and your sweet wife Heather be a part of our tour. and the tremendous impact you had on every audience was indeed living proof of the love and respect the people of Australia have for you. May I wish for you continued success, health and happiness and prosperity in the years ahead. And again, a million thanks for letting me be a part of this honor which you so richly deserve. Remember to always keep moving on.
Now, Reg, the story of the hit you tried to turn down.
The song was called Armstrong.
Yes, Reg. This is your life has flown him all the way from New York to be with you tonight, the man who produced Armstrong, Patrick Alton.
Have you time to produce an album?
Absolutely. Well, I'm here, I'll do it.
Marvellous to see you.
It's great to see you.
Yeah.
Will you tell us the story about Armstrong?
It's really very simple. We worked for a record company. I worked for a record company, and Reg walked in and said, listen,
you got to do an album for me.
You got to do an album for me, right? So I said, okay, I'll do the album. And he said, but I want a hit. He's tough, you know. He said, I want a hit. So I said, okay, well, let's look around. And we went down to his house, and we dug all sorts of tapes out, and we did some really nice things. And then I said this thing about Armstrong, and you looked at me rather puzzled, and you didn't...
I said, I can't sing that sort of song.
No, you didn't say it. No, in fact, you said nothing and walked away. You see,
Did I?
Yeah, and I thought...
Oh, maybe I said the other afterwards.
I thought funny, you know, funny. But you went home and discussed it with her, and you came back and you said, well, listen, I asked you to do it, so let's do it. And it was really great.
Well, it worked, and I thank you very much.
And it's lovely to be here. I would have come all this way for you, sir.
Marvellous. Sure, and Bigorra, it's nice to have you back.
Lindsay has won just about every honour Australian show business provides, from Tamworth to the Logies. There isn't a stage in Australia, from the tiniest bush town to the Sydney Opera House, where they don't know and love the tall man with the guitar. Reg Lindsay, This is your life.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Australia.
Guests on this program are brought together by TAA.